Okay, welcome, guys. Thanks so much for being here today. And let's talk about how to change how people treat you, how to make sure people show up for you, support you, pay you, interact with you in ways that are pleasing, invite you, whatever connection and type of interaction is important to you. Now, the good news is, and maybe for some it's going to be a bittersweet pill to swallow, but it's the same thing as always. Everything starts in your imagination and what you believe and expect. Everyone's wanting all these other complicated answers. You're wanting to know all the 10 steps to do this and that. But the only steps you need to know is how to change your expectations so that you actually expect and know that people treat you well. This all starts within you. Okay. Now, I know all this. I'm not just sitting up on some high horse, always having been popular and perfect. It's not true. I might be about to sneeze. Yes. So, what's the same? Yeah. Okay. Here's the thing. I certainly did not grow up having an easy time with people. In fact, people were always a thorn in my side. I found that people were constantly mean to me, even from right when I was a little child. A lot of people can say, well, remember when you were young and you had those amazing connections with people? Well, I didn't really have many of those. And a lot of the time I would meet people and they would instantly start, like little kids would instantly start teasing me. Now, this is because I already had that belief and expectation, and part of me probably, seized up, or I just didn't know how to interact and converse with kids. I grew up an only child, very lonely, so I didn't really have much interaction with kids from a young age. And the interaction I had with the teenagers around me wasn't always that pleasant, because for some reason in my family, well, I can tell you the reasons, but they generally resented me coming into the family as this little young kid when there was teenagers around. And it's a whole thing. But basically, when you grow up feeling like and experiencing that things don't work out and people don't treat you well, you start jarring for it, you start bracing for it, and you start expecting it. This is a survival mode, so you don't put yourself in situations where you get hurt. But the problem is it actually creates the exact thing that you don't want to happen. So maybe as a kid, it actually helped you out, to not put yourself out there so much, or whatever your story was. But now as an adult, it is no longer serving you. In fact, it's just creating the exact thing that you don't want. And people are only reflecting back to you what you feel about you. So, I remember I had one client who, she was an artist, and she used to feel very insecure about her art. And she didn't want to show people her art and things like that because she thought people wouldn't like it, basically. She thought she wasn't good enough. But then she would get upset, wondering why people didn't ask her to the art exhibitions, and why people didn't want to get together and co-create with her, and she always felt left out. And I told her, well, it's because you don't feel like you're good enough. How can they think that you're good enough if you don't? How can they think more of you than you do? In general, people only reflect back to you how you feel about you. So if you're scared of being judged, for instance, and let's say you have a presentation to do, or a live stream to do, or talking to a group of people or your partner, well, if you go in with the fear, oh my God, they might judge me. What will they think? What might I say? Guess what's going to happen? You're going to show up and you're going to be trembling in your voice, perhaps. Or you're just going to, even if nobody can tell consciously, because you're thinking it inside, and because we are all so psychically connected, like we're literally one, all made out of the same stuff, just with force fields separating us all like these different consciousnesses, but it's ultimately made out of the one thing. So we really are all so intimately connected. And so if you get up there to make that talk, but then inside you're thinking, oh my God, what do they think? Oh, I have to say it a certain way, blah, 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 blah. Well, it's not that they would have judged you, is that you pull that behavior out of them. You literally trigger them subconsciously to react to you in the way you don't want them to, because we don't manifest what we want or what we need. We especially generally don't manifest what we need. That's one of the thorns of life, right? The more you need something and desperately want it, the less you can have it. And this is why we do the inner work, you know. So what happens is when you, though, can imagine beforehand, you literally, please do this, just even as you go to sleep at night, you simply imagine it going well. You imagine them congratulating you. You imagine them receiving it well. You imagine yourself feeling like it's good. And you literally ask yourself, you actually have to ask the question before you go in, how would I feel if I knew that it would be received perfectly? And when you're writing it, if you have to write something in advance, what would I say? And even if you're not necessarily writing it, just say it before you go on. And if you're doing a live or go in and ad-libbing, still say this. Or as you're about to write, say this. Okay. Say, how would I feel if I knew it would be well received? How would I feel? What would the feeling be like if I knew that it would happen? And what would I say? What would I say if I knew that they would absolutely love it? And now from this space, once you get into the feelings, hi, Ruby, welcome, welcome. Once you get into the feeling of, okay, well, if I knew that they would say yes, whatever your version of yes is, if I knew that they would like it, if I knew that it would be positively received, take the effort, actually make the effort, breathe, feel like this. Oh, yes. Oh my God. It would be so good. You say to yourself, you go, okay, so if I knew that it would be like this, what would I say? And then, and this is really important, and then you actually write or speak it that way, because, and this is key, I remember when I used to always brace for people saying no or being mean or dismissive or all the things. I used to have a really hard time with people, like very hard time. It's very traumatizing over and over and over again, but it was because of the trauma that repeated. I used to brace myself and be like, well, in my mind, it wasn't very conscious, but I was like, well, since they're going to say no, what can I do to try to convince them to say yes? Okay, think of it like that. So that's what you're not to do. Do not do that. Okay, catch yourself when you do it, because you think basically the mindset is, well, since I expect them to say no, that means I have to come up with something to make them say yes. Well, guess what? Because you're expecting no and you're trying to make up for it, they're gonna say no. You're not gonna get the response you want. I know this from experience, just not just from me, but from the many clients that I've used that actually use these techniques and actually use them. Okay, you can't just listen to it and expect it to happen. You have to actually use them. Okay, so the opposite is the actual thing that works is you say, okay, so even if you don't mean it, even if you don't believe it, you can use this even if you don't believe it. Okay, you just put yourself in that place. You say, okay, well, imagination, right? If I really did know that they would say yes, like if I did, even though I don't, if I knew they would say yes, if I knew it would work out, if I knew I would get the best response, even better than I imagine, what would I say and how would I say it? And then as you work yourself under the energy, then you write it or say it. You get yourself clear, and then you make sure, if you're like preparing it beforehand, you make sure you actually do that, and you don't revert back to the old, oh, please, sorry, I hope I can convince you energy. Yeah, it's so key. It really, 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 really works. Like if you're writing an email to someone and you want them to say yes, don't think, oh God, I hope they don't say no, so how could I convince them? And then you write from that energy, they're going to say no 9 times out of 10. And if you want them to say yes, you have to be willing to play imagination. You got to be willing to lighten the F up. Just lighten up, don't take it so seriously. You've got to, even if it's wiggling your body to like shift that energy, do some tapping or do a dance or just stretch up and take a breath. And then you're in a lighter, more free energy. And guess what happens then? You will say the right thing and they will respond to you in a harmonious way, especially if you're practicing imagining beforehand them saying the things that you want to hear. Now, it's very important that you understand you have to practice believing it, which means agreeing that, yes, this is real. Understanding that because you imagine it and you're connected, that you are going to evoke that response and behavior in people. And it's the same for every area of your life, actually, whether it's your health or your money or, you know, whatever it is, you have to actually expect it. And to do that, you can't just positive think over it. This is why, like, my clients tell me that I fill in the gaps of positive thinking, where people are like, just think positive. And they're like, oh, but how? It doesn't work like that. Okay, you actually, as I keep saying, and you've heard me say this many times before, and if you're new here, welcome, but it's really important that you have a very connected personal relationship with yourself, where you're actually talking to yourself, listening to yourself, coming into your heart, and not thinking the answers. Okay, if you're like furrowing your forehead, you know, or, you know, looking up and around and trying to get the answers that way, then you're in a bit of a panic mode. You have to come down into your body. You know, as I always say, come down into your heart. It can help to put your hand on your heart, sort of look down in your body, pause those thoughts, ask a question. You know, if you want to know, it's like, okay, well, why am I feeling like it won't work out? You're allowed to think the negative, but it's not because you're dwelling upon it. It's because you're bringing it up to talk to a friend. Your friend. You're the person you have to spend the most time with in the world. So you might as well be friends with yourself instead of bullying yourself into submissions. Do this, do that. You have to do this. And you wonder why you go into resistance and fear. It's because you're a total CUNT to yourself. Okay, why don't you stop and just forgive yourself for that and understand it'll keep happening, but then you forgive yourself over and over again. And then you simply drop in and start talking to yourself. But the key is your job is to talk yourself around to believing that everything is working out. And if you want help with that, if you're genuinely ready to restructure your entire being and nervous system and heal your anxiety and your fear and anything in the way of your desires, including chronic pain, because it's actually a part of fear, is so crazy. The stuff I've healed with chronic pain, from stomach spasms that a client had for 4 years. Okay, before she saw me for, I think, 3 months, I healed her stomach spasms within 3 freaking months when the doctor said there was nothing they could do. Sciatica, womb cramps, foot pain that like stops people from being able to walk. I know how to heal this stuff, like for breakfast. Like it doesn't take one session though. Some of them actually, funnily enough, don't take that many sessions, but most of them do actually take some, you know, work to retrain your body and your nervous system and to actually release the trauma beneath the chronic pain. But whatever it is, whether it's chronic pain or, you know, feeling like you're unworthy for love or unsafe to have your desires, or feeling like you really, really need it and it's just not working, or maybe you have so many things, but you're secretly insecure inside and you feel like if you shine too bright, you'll be attacked. Maybe you are being attacked. You know, whatever it is, I can help you to reprogram those parts of you so that you really believe and then see that everything works out for you. And one of my gifts is bridging the gap between atheists and religion, so that you come into spirituality and really, really, really believe in a loving higher power, in God, divine, universe, infinite intelligence, the 0-point field. And you understand that you are literally made of the God force, okay? And there's this conscious energy running through you. But the reason why people say, well, why do all these bad things happen on earth? Is it because God is smiting people and punishing people? No, it's not that at all. God is literally good, okay? But humans have free will. So if we didn't have free will, right, then love would be meaningless. It would just be a mechanical thing, would just be puppets. So humans have free will. Whatever we believe and expect is impressed, literally imprinted upon the divine mind, and it's very, very sensitive. So whatever you expect, it does happen. But we have so many repressed parts of ourselves that we think we're being positive, and often we're not. You know, you might think you're being positive, but then you're like, oh, but you believe that, you know, you're always disappointed. So you're trying to be positive, yet you were disappointed and you still have that trauma active in your vibration. Or maybe you were bullied by a group of kids when you were young for shining too bright or something, or you embarrassed yourself, or they made you feel bad. Well, that could still be active in your vibration. And you have to learn how to talk to this part of you and to walk up into believing that God is good, or, you know, whichever word you like, is actually working through you and for you. But you see, the reason why all the bad can happen is because, you know, generations through generations through generations through who knows how many years, all these personality traits and quirks and misunderstandings and ignorances have been passed down. And so we create, God is literally allowing itself to be puppeteered through us and using its creative energy to create whatever it is we expect, not what we want, what we expect. And so it's like, whoever you're being, okay, whatever you're expecting is what happens. So that's why it's so important to get clear and iron out that wonky energy and learn how to flip out of doubt and into trust. And also learn that you don't have to be happy all the time. It's not that. Happy isn't infinite state. It's like it comes and goes. It's about learning how to do what's meaningful to you, learning how to listen to what is right for you, and getting to know the truest parts of yourself through deep conversation. And of course, shadow alchemy work and inner work and mindset success reprogramming. Yeah. So if that sounds good to you, I have one-to-one spots available for 6-month, 12-month, and 2-year journeys, because just like going to the gym to lose 100 pounds, right? People, they often go to the gym and after a month, they're like, oh, why aren't I thin yet? It's like, think about it, right? And same with your neural pathways. The hardest thing you can do is change your mind. And then people like flop in and out of personal development and they have a little win and then they give it up. It's like, no, mate, you've got to actually keep going with it. Literally, I would still have PTSD if I treated it like I see most people treat their inner work. It's a joke. And I don't mean that with judgment, because I mean, I definitely have had periods where I haven't done it, but I can tell you my life didn't get better. It got worse in those times. But then again, since everything happens as a lesson, that just helped me learn more of what I wanted. So get serious about your inner work. Get serious about realizing that you are literally the divine having a human experience, because the height of intelligence is the more you realize that you literally are God having a human experience. It means the more intelligent you are and the more that good and God can work for you, because you understand that life is about giving, life is about sharing, life is about flowing. And then because you give, you receive, and it all starts happening naturally. But you got to get really honest about how you actually feel, and you got to make it the work to keep flipping into how you want to feel, which doesn't, as I said, doesn't always mean being happy. It means feeling certainty and expectation. Now, if you've done my programs before, you hear me give some exercises how to get into expectation, how to get into the feeling of certainty. And this is so key. It really is everything. You can't fake certainty. Can't fake it, but you can feel certain about something else and apply it to your desire. And that's what I'll teach you if you want. Okay, I also have a beautiful members club, which is a super low cost way to be in my energy, to do my processes. This is called the Spiritual Expansion Society, and I want everyone to join it. Each month you get a masterclass live with me with replay, and I do all sorts of different things in it, depending upon, you know, what the vibe is. And you get loads of supporting content. So whenever you do your inner work, whether it's, you know, every day or, you know, every week, however much you want to do it, you can just jump in there. Like, you know how you pick an oracle card and you go, this card. Well, you can do that with my work because I've got so much of it. You just don't let it be overwhelming. You just choose the one that jumps out to you. And then you do that for the day. You get yourself into a better feeling place. Then you take your faith-based action, which I also help you do. And yeah, then things just start working out more and more. So join me in the Spiritual Expansion Society and you'll be grandfathered in at the current price. Even as the price raises, you'll be locked in as long as you don't leave. Obviously, you'll stay at that same rate. You get a trial month. And yeah, I'm putting a lot of energy into this. It's really amazing. I could easily charge, I mean, at the moment, many times what I'm actually charging for it. So it's a beautiful little investment and a great way to get started. I also have plenty of free videos on YouTube if you want to do some shadow alchemy, some of my EFT breathwork tapping in my own unique way. And yeah, also, let's see, programs I run, I've got plenty of digital programs. So all I'm saying is if you're ready to do the work and you want to work with someone who really knows what it takes to shift and transform whatever is going on, then definitely try my processes and keep going with them. Don't just make it something you do once or for a month. Keep coming back to them month after month, year after year. The people who do, oh my God, the stories I've heard, one lady, she messaged me that she's been doing my work. Oh, this is years ago now. She was doing my work for 2 years. And she said in that time, everything started changing. She was having like relationship problems, and her husband was going to split, and she was struggling in her business, and all these things happened. But as she kept coming back and doing my shadow alchemy, her and her husband, their relationship healed. Her husband got a massive promotion at work, and he got paid way more than he was supposed to. She also sorted herself out. She got the courage and fearlessness to go forward into a business. She started making ripples through the world, helping clients, making money in her business. Then around the same time, she got pregnant with another little child, and a child that wouldn't have existed if she didn't do this work. And the most important thing is a lot of people do this work, but then they forget that they've done it, and then have all these wonderful changes happen, but they don't relate it to the inner work they've done and the reprogramming work. And so then they'll stop doing it. And then eventually things will start sliding downhill because they're not managing their energy anymore. When it's the managing of your energy and the flipping into your energy and your beliefs and then being willing to take the action, that really makes the difference. So I could tell you hand on heart just how powerful this work has been in my life and in so many clients' lives around the world. So whether you do my free stuff, my low-cost stuff, or you join me as a VIP, do something and keep doing it because it works. Yeah. And remember, so when it comes to the topic of today of having other people treat you differently, a great way to do it is just to let yourself gently imagine it and let yourself feel it as you imagine. Okay, especially as you're going to sleep or when you wake up in the morning. Imagine having imaginary conversations. So don't be arguing with people in your head. Okay, you're literally antagonizing them on the spiritual plane. And if this sounds all woo to you, it's not. It's just quantum physics. It is literally, we're all connected. It is what it is. You've seen probably the experiments where the thought doesn't travel. It literally is at the same time. So if someone here has a thought, and I don't know exactly how it works out, but they've done experiments on it. And to be fair, I don't actually care about the experiments. I know just some of you need to hear it because there's a lot of things that I was saying was fact when science and mainstream people was calling me crazy. And I'm like, well, fuck you. I know this is real. It's working. And so fuck you. And so seriously, that's how I feel about it. I've always felt that. And so what I'm trying to say is I was like, fuck you to everyone when they're trying to tell me that what I do doesn't work, even though they didn't try it. They're just saying, oh no, it's all crazy. It doesn't work. Telepathy doesn't exist. And you can't heal, chronic pain with energy work. And what else did I say? Like, I don't know. They say all sorts of crazy things in the mainstream, but now science is starting to catch up, and I'm like feeling a bit vindicated, but also like, yeah, whatever. Like, I literally don't care what it says because I know what works because I've experienced it. I've seen it. I do it every day. So I'm not even trying to be, up on my high horse or anything. It just is what it is. Yeah. So this is a great example. You just got to trust yourself, even if all of society is saying it's not real, and it is because you've experienced it. Well, then trust yourself. Yeah. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being here today. I hope this has been helpful for you. Would you like to share your highlights or takeaways in the comments? I love to hear from you. Like, I really do. This is a social media. So be social if you like, instead of the nosy neighbor just looking over. But really, above and beyond me, because, it's not all about me. This is about you. And to comment into the comments is going to help you integrate this so you remember it. Let me know the actual thing that you're going to remember so that you can utilize it to shift your life. Now, it could be one thing, it could be multiple things, whatever it is. And if this has helped you, let me know in the comments, but please make sure that you share this with a friend who needs this if you feel so inclined to. Don't be shy. It's really good to get this type of work out there. Okay, I think I'm done. I feel complete. Yes. I'm about to release another video on YouTube a little later too on taking control of yourself by letting go of control. That wonderful paradox, but I explain it in depth. So if you want to watch that, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel too, or just comment below and let me know you want to see it, and I'll make sure to pop it over once I upload it to YouTube. Okay, guys. Now remember, you really do create your own reality. I'm Kai Ashley, and I'll see you on the flip side. Bye.